our beloved Malkah Fleisher. Malkah, shalom.
Hey, Yishai, it's so good to be back on the show this week.
That's right. Thank you very much for being with us, Malkah. We have a lot of important things that we have to show people. So I'm going to start getting some of these videos ready. And these are the videos of some of the new Trump appointees.
Let's see those guys.
Tell me, what are you excited about those guys? Who are you excited about?
You know, Yishai, it's so funny. This week I saw this hilarious video. It was of it was like a meme video, and it was like what it's been like to watch for Israelis to watch the Trump appointees come in over the last day. This was last week. And it was a video of sportscasters at some incredible soccer game, and they're like, yes, and it was so funny. Here in Israel, the Trump appointees are just like fantasy football of pro-Israel, politically involved people in America. I just want to say that, there's really two aspects of of seeing these appointees come in. One is the aspect here, this show is broadcast out of Israel. It's about Israel. And so you look at it through the lens of Israel, and it's like, how are these people relating to us? And it's overwhelmingly very positive. All the appointees that we've seen so far are very actively pro-Israel appointees, which is awesome. But then there's the other aspect, which is watching America go as it's teetering over the cliff of its national health, yank itself back and jump onto a white horse and run off into the sunset or something. Seeing America yank itself back into a place of sanity and positivity and patriotism and family values, and a strong desire for its own stability and strength is just so nice. I don't know how else to say it. It's so refreshing, so nice. I'm very proud of Americans for pulling this off for themselves. And I think that this is going to be something which obviously will have loads of implications for across the world.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I also agree with you about, it was nice to see the American system right itself. It was nice to see that democracy won. It was nice to see that human emotional health won out. It was nice to see that the bad guys haven't distorted our minds completely. It was really nice. Again, it's very important to stress this show in our life is about Israel and the strength of Israel and the God of Israel. When somebody's on our side, we're happy, we celebrate it, and it helps us move things forward. But it's not like we're not addicted here to the United States. This isn't the United States. We're speaking in English. We're speaking to the world. We are people who formerly lived in the United States. We have respect for it, but it's not the country that we're promoting here, and it's not the narrative that we're promoting. But when there are pro-Israel people who love Israel, and they elect pro-Israel people, and they help move the cause forward, and it helps them stay as a moral and a healthy and a country with a compass, then I can't help but say thank Hashem, and let's use this time as much as we can. I want to tell you also, Malkah, that for me, the Trump administration appointees, some of them are my friends, some of them are my colleagues. It's very exciting, but it also says to me, we have a lot of work to do now with these people. We have lot of work to do.
We haven't watched the videos yet, and so I feel like we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. But I will say that when we talk about watching these appointees come in, so again, it was really positive and really happy, and you can see just the potential is oozing over, and you're gonna see, I guess, in the videos that you probably brought up, Yishai, as much backing as you could get from the foremost like leader in the world in terms of countries, the United States, like it's the most backing that we could really hope for, I think.
Right.
So like at the beginning, I don't know what it's going to turn into, but on the face of it. But then you turn back and look at yourself and you go, are we ready now? Like we are being called upon to do our thing, to be Israel, to be the Israel that they want to empower.
Right.
And so then you're like, boy, I sure hope that we take on, as they call it, Yishai, Ol Malchut Shemaim, the
Yoke of heaven.
Right? And you have this like wonderful, you taught me this wonderful visualization for the yoke of heaven. We are supposed to take upon ourselves every day, Ol Malchut Shemaim, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. But what does it mean in your visualization? You said, maybe you should tell people, what's your visualization for Ol Malchut Shemaim?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring it up. I didn't expect you to bring this up. This is kind of my
well,
my more like,
this is just like,
okay, no, it's fine. It's okay. And my more like rabbinic hat and my teaching hat, I sometimes think about visualizations. I actually use visualizations all the time. I just came up with a new one this Shabbat. But the visualization in that case is that you see a crown of God coming down from heaven, and it's first like a crown, and as it comes down, it turns into that same crown with its jewels, becomes like a yoke. And that yoke is something that you put on yourself. In order to bring God's crown into this world, we need a yoke. We don't wear the crown. We push ahead the carriage of God.
Oxen.
We're the oxen. We're the workers. And the way to do it is to like, and if we want to bring God's crown to this world, we got to put on that yoke, and that yoke is actually a gift. That's right. It's a push, and that's a gift to us that we have an opportunity to do. So I understand. I know what you're saying. That right now,
so it's like we look at these Trump appointees, and we have our own country going on over here, but here it's sort of like Hashem is saying to us, like all those obstacles that have been in your way, we can just remove those. We can just take those off now. Are you ready to do Kiddush Hashem? Are you ready to do the things that I've asked you to do?
That's right.
The answer has to be yes now. The answer has to be yes now. And so that is intense. That is pressure. And that is something that you and I, Yishai, we try hard to affect. And so many great people out there here in the land of Israel try to affect, but do we have our finger on the red button? We certainly do not.
Let's take a look, Malkah, this comment here. Americans voted anti the jihadi, woke, regressive, repressive, illiberal affiliation. The incoming regime needs to follow up. What does that mean? To follow
PW bulletin. I think it's a list, maybe an email.
Okay. But the point is that there really has to be, and there have been lists put out right now of what this administration should do. One of the big one, by the way, is the United Nations. That thing needs, some people like to say reformation, but I say no, it does not need reformation. It needs to be gutted at best case scenario, if not shut down totally. Yocheved, our producer, Yocheved, there's a guy on the chat right now who is using foul language over and over again. One foul language I could deal with, but somebody using foul language to try to sour and dirty our broadcast is not going to be allowed. So if you could block somebody who calls himself Kent Eastwood.
Anyway, Yishai, while we're censoring people, why don't we hear some people? I'm so curious to hear some of the videos of some of these Trump appointees. Well,
let's go towards like the big one for Israel, and that is the U.S. ambassador to Israel, none other than Mike Huckabee. Let's see Governor Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas.
Yes, he's going to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel.
Former governor of Arkansas, Fox show host, whose daughter was the spokesman for the president and is now governor of Arkansas. Here he is a few years ago talking about Judea and Samaria.
Personally, and I'm speaking only as a person, I think Israel would only be acting on the property it already owns. I think Israel has title deed to Judea and Samaria. There are certain words I refuse to use. There is no such thing as a West Bank. It's Judea and Samaria. There's no such thing as a settlement. They're communities, they're neighborhoods, they're cities. There's no such thing as an occupation.
That they get out of their minds that people are living in lean-tos and tents, and sleeping in cars, circled around a tree. They're living in very well-designed and beautiful cities and communities. Can't wait to get back. I'm going to take an extra hat. I'm going to get it to President-elect Trump. Build Israel great again. Who knows? We may see him wear this out there in one of his rallies somewhere. I don't know. Can't promise that. I can only promise he will get a copy of the hat. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was Mike Huckabee then. Let's hear him now, because he was just on Fox talking about his appointment.
Thank you. Now,
let me move it forward a little bit.
Israeli people and commitment to the unbreakable bond between America and Israel than him. Joining us with more, President Trump's nominee to be ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. Governor, I agree with your daughter. I think she is a better governor and a lot smarter than me, so we both take second place. But in all seriousness, I look at Israel, the size of the state of New Jersey, and I look at them now battling a 4 or 5 front war between Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad in the north, you got Hamas out of Gaza in the south, you got the Houthi rebels, and you got ballistic missiles being fired directly from Iran that is, supplying all of this weaponry because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris allowed them to get rich by not enforcing sanctions. How quickly do you believe Donald Trump can impact that conflict in the Middle East?
Sean, I think he's impacting that conflict before he's even sworn in. You're seeing a scrambling all over the Middle East of countries suddenly trying to behave differently because they know a new sheriff has come to town, and this isn't a one-bullet Barney with a bullet in his shirt pocket.
That's 2 metaphors in a row, okay? New sheriff is in town, and it's not a one-bullet Barney. I have no idea what a one-bullet Barney is.
Yeah.
You're from Texas, Malkah, so maybe
I mean, I would guess, but I'm scared to get it wrong. So keep going. Let's just
one bullet Barney. This is not a one bullet Barney. I tell you that much. But the other phrase I do know, which is there's a new sheriff in town, and we all know what that means.
This is the real deal. I mean, this is Donald Trump that they are afraid of, and I'm just ecstatic that he has asked me to be part of what I think is going to be not just a realignment of political parties and many institutions in America, but really the world, to bring peace that we desperately need. And quite frankly, when I look at all these people that he's picked, I'm incredibly impressed with all of them. I feel like that I'm a 1995 Ford pickup trying to enter the Indy 500. I don't see myself in the same view as I do some of these wonderful people he's picked, but I'm honored beyond even description to be able to serve my country and this president in a nation that I've been traveling to since July of 1973, when I was 17, made about 100 trips there. And I couldn't be more grateful to this president for giving me the opportunity to serve the country and him.
Oh, well, I'm sure you're going to work very closely with my friend Steve Witkoff. He was announced today as the special envoy to the Middle East. Like you, he knows the area well. I think, one of the more interesting picks will be Elise Stefanik. And I've never been a globalist. I find the UN to be historically virulently anti-Semitic and anti-American. I don't trust the WHO. We know they covered for China during COVID. I don't like the WEF. I never liked the Paris Accords. The Iranian deal is asinine, the worst deal ever made. So I would imagine if the Elise Stefanik that lectured the pro-Hamas professors before Congress, if that Elise Stefanik shows up at the United Nations, that's going to be a little bit of a shakeup, the likes of which maybe we haven't seen in our lifetime. That could be entertaining.
It'll be very entertaining, but more importantly, it's going to be a great revelation of what's wrong at the UN and why for many years I've never understood why we kept dumping money into it. I've often said get a jackhammer. hammer the thing right off and float it into the East River and invite any country who thinks they could enjoy it to have it. She's not going to be invited to a lot of after 5 cocktail parties in Manhattan where she'll be saluted by the swells. But that's not why she's going, and it's why she's going to be terrific in that position. She's bold, strong, unafraid, and will take nothing off of any of them. And we need to be bold. There's no reason that you have people like Iran and communist China on human rights committees talking about human rights when they violate them more than anybody. So it's time for a complete reset of our internal and international relationships. That's what Donald Trump is clearly setting out to do. And I couldn't be more delighted to see this take place.
Well, one thing that has to happen if the world ever wants to have real peace and safety and security, we can never allow the Iranian mullahs with their radicalism to get nuclear weapons, which they are desperately seeking. And they have got to be stopped. They are the #1 state sponsor of terror. I'd cut off their money, and if they keep firing missiles at Israel, it's time to take out their refineries, take out their nuclear sites, and the world will be a better and safer place, in my humble opinion. Congratulations, Governor. I guess I should say Ambassador. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Awesome clip there of Huckabee on Hannity. And I think he said something there that is very, very important, which is, Hannity said it, and it's true, which is what the Trump administration did the first time around is what's got to continue. And that is actually so simple. Cut off the funding. Cut off the funding. Cut off the funding to the Palestinian Authority. Cut off the funding to the United Nations. Cut off the funding to maybe Qatar that funds anti-America, anti-Israel, pro-jihad network called Al Jazeera. Like, take the money away. Oh, and of course, cut off Iran. The Obama, Biden, Harris folks, they fed the Iranian mullah regime to the tune of $250 billion, a lot of it in cash. So that has to stop. Just pull that money back. The UN sits in New York cursing Israel day in, day out, bringing nothing useful to this world. And it's funded, I think I heard 60% of the UN's funding is the United States. It might be even more. And it certainly sits in the United States, in New York, on great property. It's like, come on. So I hope that Stefanik doesn't come in there to reform the place. I think she's going to have to come in and really fight. Let's take a look at Stefanik, Malkah. How does that sound?
Okay.
Do you want to see? All right, here, let's see what she's got to say. 1 second. Here we go.
Mr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Okay, that was Stefanik, and she's going to be the U.S. ambassador to the UN, and she, of course, did that great shakeup that ended up in costing the president of Harvard's job. She left because of this stuff. Right. And so powerful. She's a powerful fighter, and we're very excited to have her at the UN.
Right,
so
a big enemy to anti-Semites. Speaking of anti-Semites, she's already called for the United States to defund UNRWA, which is like the king of anti-Semites in the United Nations. And so it's very promising.
One of the most exciting appointees is Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is an Army vet, Fox show host, and happens to be somebody who's my friend and somebody that I respect a lot and I spend time with. In fact, Yocheved, I actually didn't see in the folder the video that he did with me. If you could send me a link to that, I'll put that up. But in the meantime, here is Pete Hegseth talking about Israel in Israel at the King David Hotel.
Jennifer and I and others had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
What happened?
Did you hear that?
What was that? Let me just rewind that. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I got this. Hold
Go
on
back.
a second.
Yeah.
This is the Secretary of Defense of the United
Of
States.
the United
the
States of America.
elect.
Why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen.
He's the nominated
Right.
Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
Calling for the
and
Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem.
He's like, well, why can't that happen? If the reestablishment of the Jewish state happened, why can't the reestablishment of the Third Temple? Okay.
This is what I'm talking about, though, Yishai. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is the moment where it's like Hashem is like, I literally am going to bring you all the way to the place where the Gentiles of the most powerful country in the world are going, how about that temple? Right? And then we're supposed to go, oh, absolutely. We're going to get right on that. Thank you for cooperating on that project. We're not supposed to go, I don't know, temple. Or we're not supposed to go when they're going to say things like, what about some sovereignty in Judea and Samaria? We're not supposed to go, well, we don't know if we can handle it. We don't know if we're ready to take responsibility for, all these people who are living under the Palestinian Authority. We're content with, maybe we should just take like a mini sovereignty over the Jordan Valley or something small, something symbolic, so we can pat ourselves on the back and go, oh, we accomplished something, extra during the Trump administration. We're at a place now where that stuff is like way not enough. We cannot be content with these little like Wikipedia footnote type successes. We are being asked to make a leap of progress in Israel as the world opens up to that progress. And it's like Israel's kind of looking to the United States for this permission, right? Even though we don't really need permission from anyone to do the things that we need to do. It's like the people in the realpolitik level are looking to the United States for like their thumbs up. But the United States and people like the U.S. Secretary of Defense of the United States of America
nominated
are looking to us to do our thing now.
Right.
They are looking to us. We are not looking to them. They are looking to us. And if we disappoint them, it will be a fail for the generations, God forbid. And so now is our time to make sure that we make a win for the generations, for 2,000 years of generations. It's time for us to take on the responsibility that we have been dreaming to take on. And like we said before, Yishai, put on that yoke and push.
I have a slogan about that. This is one of the Yishai slogans, which is go big and go home.
Right.
Go big. And that's what you're really saying. What you're really saying right now is it's time to go big. This is a moment to go big. It's
Right.
just not a moment to get small gains and to think that, like, okay, if I could get the small gain, then good for me. You know, the world is complex. The situation is complex. There's a lot of balances. This is not that kind of moment. This is not that kind of moment. You're right. You're right, Malkah. And Jews, a lot of times we've got this modus, which is, I call it Yaakov. You know, it's like, I'm a Jew. I'm in a court. I'm the Jew in a foreign court, and I got to navigate the many powers and things. But you have to transition between Yaakov and Israel and Israel. And when you're in the land of Israel and reconstituted in your land, you got to be big. You got to go home and go big. Go big and go home.
Right. And
like,
that is the ethos today. Here in Israel, I have to say that we have made major leaps and bounds in our sense of possibility and bravery over the last year. This war has been brutal. Let's just be honest. It's been brutal. I have here the names of 3 soldiers who were killed in the last day. Idan Kenan, 21, from Ramat Gan. Yogev Pazi, 22, from Givot Bar. Noam Eitan, 21, from Hadera. Okay? We have paid in blood, literally, but the country, its mindset has expanded. I can't say that the leadership necessarily has totally followed suit, but that is the atmosphere. And in the United States, I have to say, that's how it seems too. The people of the United States got up and they put their, tied their shoes and they burst out the door and they went to vote for like a totally different future for their country. Their country was headed in one direction and they yanked it all the way to the other direction. It's possible to do. And now you have this person in the United States who's ready to think radically. He has Elon Musk working for him. He has Vivek Ramaswamy working for him. He has RFK Jr. working for him. He has like all these like big brain people, these people who think outside the box. And we got to get out of the box for this moment in history. We got to open our minds and roll up our sleeves and get bold and get brave and get proud and get excited and get determined and get fearless and get going.
First thing, I want to remind folks that you can join the chats by super chatting, and that helps us show and helps us keep broadcasting. Here's Joe Seidman says, thank you, Malkah and Yishai, for keeping us connected and sharing your positive energy. Good. Thank you very much. And you can also share your positive energy at super chats. Really appreciate it. Let's finish up with the Pete Hegseth, because it's just a short, but we got a little stuck when he said that we should be able to build a third temple. Let's keep going with that.
That's all I know. And a step in that process, a step in every process, is the recognition that facts and activities on the ground truly matter. And that's why going and visiting Judea and Samaria, understanding that sovereignty, the very sovereignty of Israeli soil, Israeli cities, locations, is a critical next step to showing the world that this is the land for Jews and the land of Israel. And I believe, as was mentioned, he said you need to, what was mentioned is you need to buy the ticket. Don't just wish for 40 years to win the lottery, buy the ticket. I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington. Buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back. You have Donald Trump in the White House, you have Mike Pence as vice president, you have Nikki Haley at the UN, you have true believers in Israel and America that have your back.
All right, so that was the incoming elect nominated
Secretary of Defense for the United States.
Secretary of Defense, my friend, really somebody I'm very, very proud to know, Pete Hegseth. And there are other videos that I want to show you today, Malkah. of other folks that are part of the story. There is, of course, Rubio, right?
The Secretary of State. That's a influential person.
Secretary of State Rubio. I mean, good for him. Senator for so many years and now going to be Secretary of State. That's amazing. Let's take a look at his answers
How does he feel about
Israel.
Israel?
Yeah.
Rubio, will you call for ceasefire?
No, I will not.
Gaza?
On the
Senator
contrary.
Rubio,
Are you filming it?
Wait,
So I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes. And I hope you guys post that.
And
that's
what
my
about the
position.
civilians
I
that are
blame
being
Hamas.
killed every day?
Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians, putting civilians in the way. Hamas knew that this was going to lead to this. So Hamas should stop building their military installations underneath hospitals.
So you
underneath
don't
civilians.
care that 15,000
Absolutely, I
have
do.
died? You don't care about the babies that are
I
being
care. I
killed
think
every
it's
day?
horrifying. I think it's
Yeah.
terrible, and I think Hamas is 100% to blame. That's what I think. Make sure you post that, please.
So here we are outside the office of Senator Marco Rubio, who we ran into in the halls of Congress. And he had called us Hamas.
Wait. Notice the flags outside. He's senator from Florida. That's his flags outside of his
office.
senatorial office. Check that out. And here's the same lady. Look at this. Like B. Goliath writes, same coat pink woman from the first video that we showed today. This lady is like a
She's
one woman.
relentless.
Yeah, but she's also, that's who it is. That's the whole thing. That's all it is. It's this one lady. And I think we got that clear. What Marco Rubio is willing to say, and it's so great when they try to trap you and you go, yeah, like get this on video. I love that. That's great. That's really, really great. Who else do we have, Malkah? So I mean, first thing, Marco Rubio, congratulations to you, senator from Florida, now going to be Secretary of State. That's a big, that's like a life. That's a big jump. That's good for you. That's a lot. Just one more. Here we go. What is Vivek's job going to be, Vivek Ramaswamy? What is his job going to be?
He is doing the Department of Government Efficiency with Elon Musk.
West Bank and so-called, the occupied territories, what your opinion would be on settlements?
I think that these are decisions of self-determination for Israel to make. So I think it's really important for us not to wear the hat, to just offer some sort of monarchical judgment about what Israel should or shouldn't do.
Easy to tell other people how to live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If this was a conversation between me and Bibi and we're talking amongst friends and he's asking for my opinion, I would offer it. But that would be the context in which I offer that opinion. It's interesting to make an observation that for the hundreds of millions of sons of Abraham by way of Ishmael, you have 22, 27 different states.
Yeah.
For the sons of Abraham by way of Isaac, you have one.
Right.
And that state has a right to exist. So if the rest of the Arab world does have a real care about the Palestinian people, their actions certainly do not match their words.
Right.
So as a friend, it is my view to you. You have the latitude to do what you need to do to preserve Israel's national boundaries and national right to exist. You have the right and the obligation to do it. And our job as a partner is to make sure that the UN or the US or the EU or nobody else gets in your way.
Okay, so we laid out really a lot of people. Not everybody in that. There's also Elon Musk, who is known to be Prime Minister Netanyahu's friend, has been on shows with him together, has been on stage with him together. So there's really a lot of good people. And just so you understand, I want to make sure that if you just joined right now, you understand this does not mean that we could just sit back and everything's taken care of and we don't have to do anything. It's quite the opposite. It means
The
there's
exact
a time
opposite.
Right. It means it's a time of opportunity, and we have to work. There's a lot of good people in this new administration, and we've got to work to utilize it as best as possible.